What's up everyone, my name is Josh and this is Josh Unboxed, and welcome back to the Daily Grind, a video series in which I talk about particular cards, play, strategy, news, and how it affects the overall sports card market. In other words, I'm just trying to find a way to help us navigate through the craziness that is the sports card world today, as well as to help us make much more sound purchasing and selling decisions. And in today's video, I want to talk about taking profits, right? We're going to go back to this whole selling aspect of this sports card market and talk about taking profits. Now, we're in a state where a lot of people try their best to maximize value, whether you're trying to get top dollar for your card or you're trying to anticipate when the peak will be. And when we're doing that, what ends up happening is more oftentimes than not, when you're trying to target a peak or you're trying to time the peak, you're not going to meet it. We can't hit that peak 100% of the time because we'll never know when the peak is going to be. However, whenever we try to maximize profit, then we also put ourselves at risk for other things, other scenarios. And one thing that always comes to mind is when I sell an item is that I really hope I don't get a return request. Because how many times has that happened to you guys when you sell a card and then all of a sudden, a couple days later, a week later or so, you get hit with buyer wants to do a return or is asking for a refund. And because of eBay's buyer protection program, we're kind of, as sellers, we're kind of stuck and we're gonna lose out. We're gonna have to do the refund. They open a case. eBay always tends to side on the buyer. So this is a consistent problem that a lot of people have been facing lately. And usually in my mind, I think to myself, what can I do to reduce the risk of that happening to me? And that is taking profit whenever I can. And now what I mean by that is leaving a little bit off the table. I'm not trying to get maximum value for my cards. I'm willing to cut a deal to someone so that way I reduce the risk of them wanting to return it, because I want them to perceive that they get some value out of the card as well. So if a card is selling, let's say on average comps for like $300, right? And I put it listed at $300, $299. I usually list things up with the best offer and I entertain offers. Someone shoots me an offer for $250. I may consider it and end up taking it, leaving $50 on the table. Now, it really does depend at what price point that you've purchased the card in. So if you purchase the card at a good price point and you're able to make a healthy profit, sometimes even $50 profit is good. So I may be willing to take that card and leave that money on the table to allow that person to have some value with that card. So whether that value is the person gets a good deal on the card, or if that card ends up going up more. Sure, you're gonna miss the boat on if the card goes up more, but you've already made your profit. Take your profits and continue to move on. It's hard to say. Believe me, it's very, very hard to tell someone, hey, just take your profits and move on. Doesn't matter what if the price increases by the time it gets to that person's house or what. Take your profits and move on. Because if you think about it, if you're selling, let's say, 20 cards, you got 20 cards up for sale, right? And you end up making $20 profit on those 20 cards. 20 times 20 is $400. So you're making $400 profit. You do enough of this, right? You do enough of these small transactions with profit, then that adds up to something bigger. It's kind of like synergy. If everyone does something small, then the end result is something big. So with these little cards that you're buying, even if you're buying a card for $5, or you get a card at $5, you sell it at 10, that's a $5 profit. If you sell 10 of those cards like that, that's a $50 profit. Do more of that and it becomes more and more and more. So taking profit when you can doesn't hurt the overall end game. Sure, you're gonna leave some money on the table, and yeah, you can get more money if you wanted to. You can squeeze out as much money as you want, but at the same time, we run the risk of people putting in returns because they bought a card that all of a sudden started dipping in value, or a card that doesn't really rise, or something happens, right? There's certain things that you don't have control over, like if the player gets hurt. I get that. But if you leave a little bit off the table, right, and you allow the person to get a deal, you really reduce the risk of a return, because now that person who's bought the card sees value in that card. Just like as us, as people who are buying, trying to strategize, trying to see ways to kind of maximize our profits or get value out of the cards we buy. On the other side, as a seller to another buyer, they're doing the exact same thing. So if you're able to provide value to whatever they're buying, or a deal for them, kind of deal, then yeah, you'll reduce the risk, because just like us, if we send the best offer out and the person accepts it, we think, great, yeah, we got a good deal on the card, right? Less likely for me to want to return it, because the seller was actually willing to work with me on getting it to a reasonable price point. So yeah, these are just my thoughts on the whole selling aspect in taking profit. If you're able to take profit, take profit, you know? These are just my thoughts, these are just my opinions. Whether you agree or disagree, sound off below in the comments. If you found value in this video, go ahead, hit the thumbs up button. If you haven't yet, please consider subscribing. I like doing videos on a daily basis. It's something that I really do enjoy. And I thank you guys for watching and subscribing and staying tuned and watching me every day. It really does mean a lot to me. And with that being said, my name is Josh, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Later.